we'll jump to The Climb, the 2019 technically film that we're just getting to in 2021 because we didn't go to any of the film festivals this was at, and then it was supposed to be released back in March and got pushed back and back and back because of COVID. Finally dropped, I think, in November. Is that
Correct.
right?
hmm
Jeez.
VOD
Um,
last week.
and this is a movie with really not many people that you would know. I guess like Gail Rankin is probably
Yeah,
the most famous actress in this
for sure.
from Glow. We saw her in something else
Perry
recently.
Mason last year.
Yes, thank you, Perry Mason. So you know, this is a movie that I think none of us were expecting, but I found it pretty delightful. How did you enjoy The Climb, Dave?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It's just a movie I had been anticipating after that warm con reception nearly 2 years ago, and I just I had on the list for last March, and then put it on the delay pile like everything else, of course. So yeah, not having any expectations for it beyond expecting it to be good. I quite liked it. I thought there's some like structural choices in the movie that kind of stand out. Right, it's like basically told in a series of vignettes, and those vignettes, are just really long scenes, usually really long takes, if not one takes. And
Mhm.
in the process, you just kind of hang out with these characters, and it's melodramatic, but it's also funny, and I thought it was quite lovely.
I found it to be a very frustrating film from the perspective of the character Mike, who is like the friend. I guess they're both kind of protagonists, but Kyle is really the person you root for. He's really the protagonist you want to see um, come out of this on top. And Kyle and Mike have this really weird relationship where
Mhm.
Kyle is just like the nicest guy ever, seems to like be kind of falling upwards in life, and Mike is just a shitbag of a person. Like, and I just wanted the whole time for Kyle just to like stop hanging out with this dude. I totally got where Marissa, played by Gal Rankin, was coming from, and just trying to like do anything to get him away from Mike because Mike is toxic, man. I hated that
Yeah.
character.
Well, I saw that in like negative reviews, comments. It's like, I don't know, just pick better partners and friends.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, though, right? Oh, if we just call it the Eagles and drop the ring in, I guess there's no movie, right?
right.
So, but it's a good point. Yeah, it's hard to root for Mike because from the first scene, which maybe is the strongest scene in the film, when they're
Totally.
biking up and down hills in France, and like Mike is this, really like uh, enthusiastic cyclist, and Kyle isn't. And
Mhm.
then Mike just kind of drops that he had slept with Kyle's fiance on the eve of their uh, nuptials, and then you're like, oh shit, well that's quite the bomb. And then later on, it happens again, and like I really like the flip though that happens where Mike is the one who uh, becomes out of shape, and Kyle loses the weight, right? And they kind of like
Yeah.
situations, but yeah, I mean, from the jump, it's hard to root for Mike, and then when he comes back into the fold, you can tell he's bit self-destructive, a bit self-centered anyway.
Hmm.
But in the process, again, like a lot of those scenes, yeah, some of it's hard to watch, some of it's cringy, but like I really like that Christmas scene where Mike
Mm.
like falls through the table, and like you again get the offhand comments from the sisters and the
Yeah.
parents stuff, and that scene in particular, yeah, maybe it's a little like film school 101, but you get that steady cam following around the house, and you focus on each window as you move around, and it remains in one take on that steady cam. And I really like that one, especially because going into that scene, you transition from like that fall leave scene, and the next thing you know, it's Mike in the car with snow against like a quick wipe.
Hmm.
So I appreciate those flourishes. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just kind of laughed at a lot of stuff. Like, again, it's a little dark, but like I was laughing pretty consistently.
Probably the one I laughed the hardest at, the moment I laughed the hardest at was I think it was was it Grow Up? Yeah, when they're at the church and he comes and he like drives his car up like over the church lawn, and he's like, "All right, let's fucking do this," and he just runs in and he's like, "I object," and they're like, "We don't do that here." Like, what are you doing? And then he's like, "You can't marry her," like, and my favorite moment is when it all kind of dies down and like the one sister's boyfriend is like, "That was awesome." And the
Yeah.
guy's like, he's like, "Thanks." Like it's such a funny like
and
follow up
and
moment.
before that, Kyle's dad's like, sometimes in life you just have to pick yourself up and keep going,
Yeah.
or
Also,
something like that.
when he first showed up, Mike first showed up, another I think it was like an uncle was like, "Oh, shit's about to get good." Like I was like, "This is like exactly what I want to see at like any wedding that I go to." Just very entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some vignettes are stronger than others. Like when in the last one when he's moving out, I was like, okay, this one isn't really doing a lot for me. It's nice to like see them, I guess, like finding some sort of like middle ground in their relationship, but it didn't really go like it didn't really change that much over the course of the movie.
Hmm.
And I guess that's probably the point is like you kind of like I guess if the movie has a point on relationships, like sometimes you just like are stuck into these relationships that you have since childhood and you can't find a way to change them or get out of them. But man, I just wanted Kyle to like grow a sack and like just totally cut him off. He just couldn't do it.
That's right.
Frustrating.
Yeah. But at the same time, he did get divorced.
That's true.
Mike was right.
um, interesting because Mike and Kyle, the two main characters, that's their actual names, Kyle Marvin and Michael Angelo Covino. Wrote. It was directed by Angelo Covino, and they also produced it together. So maybe this is a pair we'll be hearing more from. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. We'll be checking out their next thing for sure. Uh, Also, shout out Mike's parents for naming him Michael Angelo,
Yeah.
first and middle name. And there's also I kind of forgot the context of, it, but there was one scene where the two of them are talking. He's like, "What's good?" And then he immediately responds, "Peaky Blinders." And I was like, "Yeah, that was funny."
And it
So
reminded me that we have to catch up on that. So,
yeah, final
uh,
season in production now.
Peaky Blinders review coming soon.